What is happening out there, my friends in YouTube land? Yours truly, Rockin' Dave, the real deal, North Fort Myers, Southwest Florida. And that's a piece I haven't played in a little while, actually, longer than than I should have been playing it. It's a piece entitled "In Memory of," and first time playing it on the 7 string. Usually I play it on a lawsuit guitar and running it through the SY synth pedal, SY1. And you can just hold the function and just So yeah, pretty cool. The secret with the SY1 is you have two volumes stacked one on top of the other, and depending on how loud you have your effect processor, it'll overpower the volume on the synth. If you're running the effect pedal through the synthesizer's effects loop. So what I have to do is crank up the volume that's on the synth pedal, and then bring down the volume for your input, your direct signal, your guitar signal. Bring that down so they kind of balance out. So it's kind of a little trick right there. But without any further ado, I want to before we get into our unboxing, I want to show you guys something here to be aware of. And you got to be aware of these chairs. They're great. These are the seats that have the built-in stand. But you got to be careful, because it won't take much if you're at a gig and you accidentally hit, this right here. I got tape on this, because what happened was I accidentally bumped into it and it popped, because the solder joint is real thin. This is a real thin little bar, and the solder joint on it is real thin. So just, if you guys get these type of chairs, just be aware of that, because they have a tendency to get real flimsy. And you can get the ones with the backrest. At our gig yesterday, let me just turn this down. At our gig yesterday, last night, we were on one side of the University Villages shops, and then it was a duo on the other side. I think they're called the Carrie, Melissa, and the Inferno, female vocalist and male guitarist, singer. And they both had these chairs. They had a nice setup. They were using the Bose L1 compact system, which we have, but they had two of them, which was great. So they had a real nice little setup there. And but I told them, be aware of that, because those seats, it's that stand, it's the cradle, and it's real flimsy. It'll break if you hit it by mistake. It'll break. So anyways, we got this box here. I'm gonna give a special shout out to Nine Sir Prophet 9. He has sent this to us. I'm going to lower this a little bit, guys, so I apologize about this. And see if I lock that in. And I had already opened it to start using some of the stuff that's in there. One of it was this tuner, and this thing works great. Nice big screen. It's a tuner and a metronome. In the blue, it's the tuner. If you hit it again, it's a metronome. And it'll go on, which is a nice big screen. I don't know if you can see that. See, it kind of washes off when you do that. But it's a big screen. You can see it perfect, no problem. And if you want to power it up, okay, so when I go back and forth between tuner and metronome, just press this once. That's your metronome, kind of like a green highlighted. Press it again, goes back to blue, it's the tuner. And to turn it off, you just hold it down. Dwight Bailey, what's happening, brother? Hey, it's Joe Wentz. What's happening, brother? Good seeing you, man. Hey, I gotta check out the rest of your episodes of Trucker. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of Ice Road Truckers. Deb and I used to love watching that show, and man, we love watching. I love your videography you got going on, and all your editing, man. That's totally awesome, and you're keeping it real. That's what I like. And I gotta check out the rest of your videos. I know you just did one on a live stream. I think it was on Friday. Spotlighting. I think you bought a Harbinger mixer. Yeah, man, that was totally awesome. Yeah, but thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. And let's see. So yeah, if you get this type of a stand with the seat that's got the built-in stand, just be aware of it. It happens. You don't mean to hit things, but this is reality at these shows. Sometimes, you're in a small confined spot, you're moving around, you got, your music is on your mind and it happens. So anyways, let's get on with this. I already opened this up. What's so cool, I wanna thank Surf Prophet number 9. Brother, you rock, man. What he sent was a lot, okay? and a lot of it is parts. And the thing is that from time to time when you need to replace things, sometimes it's kind of hard getting parts. So I mean, it's like we got output jacks, some springs, some pots, a bunch of tuners. I'm gonna just kind of put this here. Saddles, locking tuners, which is great because, like I said, and they got them in black. So if I wanted to replace the tuners on the Jackson, boom, I got them right here. That is so cool. Like pickups. He's got a pick guard for like SG. He's got the what they call a little poker chip. More tuners, bridges, and the stop bar tailpiece. If I ever wanted to start building my own guitars, man, I'll tell you what, got some parts. Saddles, the black, and he gave me a bag of, on the Floyd Rose systems, the string that locks on the bridge, those little blocks, sometimes they'll wear out, or if you lose one, I got a whole bunch of those. Pop them right in. Big time. Stuff that you wouldn't think about until when something happens and you're like, uh-oh. More tuners. And they're small. And again, these are the locking tuners. I think these might be like Spurzels. These are good, man. Because I got them on the Camelot guitar. I mean, dude, this is incredible. And I think he's got the little springs in it too. On your saddles, those little springs, like your little Fender saddles, you have no idea how important those are. Yep, he's got like even the output jacks, the screw, and the washer and the nuts. Stuff like that, man, is very important. Yeah, see? And they're all individually wrapped so they don't get scuffed up. The screws don't get messed up. Yeah, man. And a whole bunch. The ring casings, and these are metal ring casings. Now he's got this mic here with the detachable cord. And it is for if you could do, he also got an interface, which is really cool. And these things pick up great. Plus the wind filter. I'm kind of going like 1,000,000 miles a minute here. The stand with the bracket. Yeah, some of these pieces right here, man, these are, again, all these parts you would not think of until something goes wrong and you're like, uh-oh, now what do I do? And I got here Behringer with a detachable cord that goes with this, so you're not missing interface. It's the Euphoria Limo 212. So again, for the laptop. Now a lot of people probably say, "Oh, well, I got one of those," and they're going, "This is really cool." You can plug it in for the if you got monitors. So you hear monitor, you got phantom power on and off. You got a little, I think there's these little locks. I think if you have certain settings, you can lock it in and you won't have to worry about anything. And this is stuff that eventually we're going to definitely be getting involved in doing. So this is great. I mean, that is so cool. So cool. It's again with parts. Even though we have WD Music right up the road, which is a major music supply store that will supply parts to Heritage guitars, to Gibson, to Fender. They're right up the road. There are times when they're on a waiting list for parts. Supply chain gets short, and I just really appreciate it, man. It just means a lot. It really means, it's like I said, it's something you don't expect. Got these type of saddles here. They'll fit right there. And what I meant about the screws, maybe you can't see it, but these little springs, I think there's some in there. which is great because you lose those, man. How you gonna adjust anything, right? And of course, black tuners, and even though this is 7 string, I got plenty of tuners there, which is great. So it's really appreciated, brother, man. It's can't thank you enough about that, man. Let me see who's on the chat. Ian Guitar Shack, what's happening? Ian's Guitar Shack, yeah, I think it's AKG. The mic, let's see. CAD U37. Of course, I got the cord for it too. Everything I need for it is perfect, right there. And now I know these mics can be a little bit sensitive, but you with the damper, and I think you got like a dB cut, so you don't get like a strong input. The wind filter helps a lot, so if you do anything outside, it's big time. It helps. But yeah, it's very, very appreciative, man. I was quite shocked. That's the second thing you sent, because we got this, and even though it's a lot older, this is needed for us because what this does, it converts your videos into your laptop, because we got a lot of VHS footage. We can convert it into our laptops and into SD card, and then be able to load things up a lot better, as opposed to just having the camera facing the TV, the smart TV, and trying to do it that way. Because we did a lot of recording, even before YouTube, and that. So just how it is. Let's see if I get this. So I'm very, very much appreciative of it, and it really helps. Sorry about this, guys. I want to do this here, get this so this doesn't slip. Hughes & Kettner amp I got back there. This amp's great. We got a legend picture, but that amp right there is great, man. And of course, we got the Fender Hot Rod Deluxe. A lot of times I'll just use the amp sims from the effect pedals, go straight into the powered speakers, because a lot of times no one's got money for a full band. And I talked to quite a bit of musicians down there, especially when we're doing university villages, which is here. It's down here in Florida, and it's south of Fort Myers. It's in a town called Estero. And what it is, it's the colleges, FGCU, and it's their dorm with their university shops. That's why it's called university villages and shops. Got all the restaurants there, and usually we're by one side of the shop, and then the other musicians on the other side. So when we're setting up, we try to talk. See, a lot of these people that take breaks, I'll just go straight through, because I'm not singing, so everything is instrumental for me. And once I get locked in that zone, I really don't like to get interrupted, because then you take the break, and, maybe in the future I'll do the breaks, if I feel a little bit fatigued and tired. But yeah, I was talking with some of the musicians, and they do have a band. They haven't used the band in a while, and mostly they're doing a duo because it's easier for them. It's easier on the pay. And that's one of the main things, because a lot of these places, they're capped out at $300 to pay you. So you either need merchandise to sell, rely on tips, or just don't rely so much on it, so you get yourself stressed. That's a big problem. That's a huge problem that happens. People, they get themselves all stressed out because they're trying to force themselves to be full-time musicians. And in this situation, after the hurricane, there's a lot of places still not open. Our Saturday gig, Yucatan's, it's still like at basically down to the framing stages. So if I put up a picture from one of our pictures on our phone, if I load that up, you won't know if that's the picture from just after the hurricane, like about a month after the hurricane, or yesterday. That's how no movement has happened. And part of that is because of the permits and then you have the insurance sending their adjusters down here, because the insurance companies with their adjusters, because they don't know the codes down here, and they're coming in at like half of the price of what it would actually take to rebuild some of these buildings, and it's impossible. Plus, the engineers are still working on, when they rebuild these places, we want to make sure it's strong, and that's really important, man. Hey, mostly Church, what's happening, brother? Oh, old man Dan, so good to see you, man. Yeah, I checked out one of your videos earlier today. Great stuff, man. Again, Dan, I hope you just always keep moving forward, man. Because I'm going to address certain things. Um, and then again, when I'm closing, I'm again going to thank Surf Prophet 9 for doing this for me. What a great guy. And, you know, I guess he's working on a banner for us, too. And, man, you really don't have to do it, but it is so much appreciative. So much appreciative. It's unreal, you know. Can't say enough good about you. You know, and he's been putting up stuff that he's recorded on his channel, Surf Prophet and the number 9. So yeah, definitely check out his channel. Yeah, let's see, Dwight Bailey, what's happening? Yeah, Dwight, I gotta check out more of your stuff too, man. I remember watching a video with you, Dwight. Welcome to the Guitar Shack. But yeah, thank you. Let's see. What let's see this? Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. It's really much appreciated. Yeah, because I remember seeing Dwight Bailey with he's got a nice Jackson Rhodes he was playing, and then his Les Paul. Great. There's a lot of great musicians on YouTube. This is what makes this so special, man. Really makes it special. And when I talk with some of the local musicians down here, they'll have some stuff on their channel. So I just subscribe to this channel because they're local musicians. Her name, it's a man and a woman. They're not man and wife team. They're just musician partners. And they're under her name. It's Carrie Melissa, Carrie with a K, Kari Melissa, and the Inferno. And she's got a few videos up. I think it's because you know, maybe the covers, and she's got a good voice. Um, and they do have some originals, and I'm hoping that they start posting up some of their originals and start playing some of their own music, and not being afraid to take that chance. Because the reality is, you're not going to make that much money whether you're doing covers or not. And I'm not saying that to be negative. There's a reality, because we are still in this recovery mode down here. It's going to take a while for people to be able to pay, you know, more what they would want to pay the musicians. So you're in a situation, and I try to tell people, you know, let them know that, just understand it's not done maliciously. And this was part of when I put the post up about dealing with rejection. You got honest rejection where people have to say, look, if we don't have enough money to do this, please understand our situation. You know, and it is a part of a rejection. We can't hire you. You know, that's what that is. You know, you get rejected for whatever reason. A lot of times the reason is because everyone's in the same boat down here, and it's not done maliciously or, you know, to make you feel bad or anything like that. It's just the way it is right now. And let me see. I'm gonna put this cord back in here so I don't lose my live stream. So, and then, you know, we're still doing pretty good though. You know, it's real interesting. We lost our permanent Saturday gig. You know, every Saturday, but we're still picking up the gigs, which is great. And it's, to me, it's Devin Heights. It's a blessing, and it's a blessing that my beautiful wife, you know, she did mention when I was at last Monday, she wasn't feeling good. She set up the camera and got me set up on the board to start doing my gig, and then she had to go home and lay down. And you know, she's working full time at you know, at Camping World, and so she had to lay down, and later on she was able to come back out. And, oh no, I was tearing down, so it took a little while. And you know, you learn to deal with certain things. But my friends, this is why I try to explain things where it's not trying to, um, not trying to be a negative about if you have to have multiple streams of income. Because when you try to force something that is you can't bring in that much money with this, and you're trying to force it. Sometimes people start to develop these personalities where they no one wants to deal with you because now you're upset, you're uptight, and it's going to show when you in your presentation when you're trying to sell yourself. Now it's almost like you're forcing yourself on these club owners, like, oh no, there's a reason why you got to hire me, this and the other, and they'll say, well, we're tapped out. There's nothing we could do. And if it's that bad for you, and there's some club owners have said this, to the musicians, if it's that bad for you, then maybe you guys need to get another job or something. I mean, supplement your income, as opposed to putting all your eggs in that one basket and then a tragedy like this. This could happen anywhere. When you're living in an area where there's tornadoes, in Tornado Alley, tornado come and just blow down a lot of the businesses. And if you're doing full-time gigging and it's, with the cover band circuit, and you lose all those restaurants, you're going to be out of work. The wait staff's out of work, the cooks are out of work, everyone's going to be out of work. There's nothing you can do until that building is rebuilt. And sometimes that takes a while because there is a protocol you got to go through. You got to go through with the city inspectors. You got to make sure it's safe to reopen. It's not just I go in, I can sweep a floor, put up a couple of 2x4s and hold up the ceiling, and boom, we're back. And then you got to have the again, the food inspector, health department's got to come in, make sure all the food is good. You're not going to get sick. So there is a process, and depending on how much damage is done is going to dictate how long that process is going to be. So, we were talking about this, Deb and I. This is why we don't really feel, we sometimes are tired. Yeah, we're working all day and then we come on doing our gigs, but we're not stressed because we know we have these multiple streams of income. And then, we're older. I turned 59 just past November. I don't feel it. Some people say you don't look it. Some people say you do look it, but I don't care. I don't feel it. But the reality is this. I'm not 29, I'm 59. So when I was younger, I had time on my side. Boom, you can do what you want, right? When you got time on your side. But as you get older, you're not going to have that much time on your side. And if you're blowing through your savings, be very careful. Now, we had to dip into some of our savings to do we had major repairs. Plus, we had to do, replace the transmission in my car, which is a lot cheaper than go out and trying to finance a car at these interest rates. So, you put things on the scale and you weigh it out, what's the lesser of the two evils? What is going to be more beneficial for you? So, that's what we did. We just replaced our transmission. And here's another thing. I got musician friends. I try to tell them the biggest expense is going to be your vehicle, and that's part of your gear, because it's taking you back and forth to your gigs. So, if there's people out there that they get bummed out that, wow, I'm gonna go back to work, man. One guy was saying his biggest fear is going back to work. My biggest fear is I won't be able to work. If I ever get that sick, I can't work. That's my biggest fear. Because when I was doing NEMT, I had quite a few clients that's non-emergency medical transportation. When I'd be taking them to their doctor's appointments, I lost track of count how many of these people told me how fortunate I am that I'm able to go to work. Would have them tell me they wish they could get up in the morning to go to work, and that really sticks with you. That really, really hits pretty deep. And then I'll tell them that, I'm a musician. I'll tell them that, we were, at one point, we were full-time with the music. And this is why we know what we know. And again, everyone is different. Everyone's situations are different. So, just if you got enough money, if you're financially well off and you want to do this full-time, go ahead. Go for it. Just remember, you're going to have your ups and downs financially. You're going to have the days where you're working, you're going to have the days you're not going to work. And it might have nothing to do with what you're doing in this situation with the hurricanes, it just took out like 75% of these places, and it's a very slow recovery. The 28th of this month, it's going to be 6 months ago that we had that Hurricane Ian came down and wiped a lot of places out. Now we just got a couple weeks ago. We got a roof replaced. And we're working on our carport. We had the roof replaced. Got the transmission fixed. I think we did the transmission first, and then the guys were able to come out a couple of days afterwards and do the roof. And they said they'll be able to work on some of the carports, or actually do the carport without tearing the whole thing down because the structure's real strong. So we'll be able to get all that together. But see, these are certain things that you need to get done, and you know it's not cheap. It is not cheap by far. So Deb and I, we look at each other and we say, you know, thank God. It's usually me telling her, thank God that when she came up with the idea, look, you know, things could go kind of bad if we let it. We're still healthy enough to work, and we could do this. Let's combine the two, so we're not in a financial situation. And and that's the reason why I say this, because if you're not really financially set, it's something you might consider. And the reason why I say this is I see people on YouTube say that, you know, they don't want to work, or I don't say they don't want to work. They want to go back to work. They want to make music full-time thing. They want to make a career out of music. How great it would be. It is really fun. It is a great thing. Where it gets to be an issue, or where it becomes stressful, is when you start seeing gigs go like this and your savings go like that. That's when people start hitting the panic button, and that's where they're almost like forcing themselves on the club owners. You know, if you got a really good product, and you know you got a certain style of music that is popular, and you love doing that kind of music, your best bet really is if you could do what we call them stage shows, where you do ticket sales, because now you're really guaranteed. But even with that, in the beginning stages, you know, you could almost break even or have a loss on that, and you got to be willing to understand. You might have to go through that. No one wants to see a loss, but you might have to. If you're financially set, it's not really going to bother you too much, because maybe your first gig doing the ticket sales, you say, okay, well, this was kind of a loss, but I know there's people that are still interested in this, so maybe this is a slow moving wheel to get up and running. So maybe I got to do a couple of these, and then after I do a couple or a few of them, if I start to feel like this is not catching on, then I could pull back. But see, if you got the money to do that, that's great. Because see, if it starts to take off, now you can start turning a profit where you don't have to deal with, you know, club owners, and deal with the what I call the bad rejection, where people are just trying to push you in a corner and says no, 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 and they get their friends to play, but they don't get you to play. Playing games. I just pull yourself away from that. This is what I mean. If you are constantly relying on this, that's what you're gonna have to go through. And the more you see your savings deplete, or you're dipping into that, or you're not making money coming in, the more irate a person gets, and more stressful they get. It gets very, very stressed. They get stressed out. So, if you can't find a music store to work at or do lessons, find another thing that you also used to do and that you enjoyed. That's in a needs sector, and that'll take care of your cost of living and everything that's your needs. You'll take care of that. It'll also take care of your car. I'm not too sure about this. I guess I could ask Deb about this, because she used to work at Auto Nation, Toyota down here. But I'm pretty sure if you walk in to buy a car and finance a car, and you say you're a musician, what do? I'm a musician. I played this place, that place, that. They're gonna know that's not steady income right away. So now you need a cosigner. You know what I mean? So all these things you got to kind of think about. And the reason why I say that is because, again, even just to go to a regular job, you need your vehicle, and that's expensive right there. Let alone doing your gigs. How you get down here? We don't have what we used to call the CTA, the Chicago Transit Authority. there's public transportation. We got Lee Tran, but it's not gonna go to everywhere. And if you're gonna do Uber, that's gonna cost. And some of these people that pull up in these Uber cars, they're like little smart cars. And where you gonna put your gear? And the guy might say, man, you ain't putting that in my car. Even if they got a van, sorry. You know. Let's see what we got in the chat here. What's the gigs paying down there for, say, about 30 songs? You know what? Here is for the reality. It will range anywhere from 100 to 200 bucks. Some are 100. You know, it's kind of all place, but they're topped off about $300. And that's a lot of places, really. You know, sometimes a little bit lower. You know, because again, a lot of the club owners, you know, they are just in their recovery, so they're paying, you know, their insurance, they're paying their premiums and all that. There's so much that they got their hands tied up in, that to pay a band, the band is really the least important thing. They'll offer the live entertainment, but if they a lot of people, they'll say, if we don't need it, we're just not going to have it. You know, and that's the sad thing, but it is a reality. But usually it's, you know, anywhere between $100 to $200, $150s, $100 gigs to $200 gigs. You know, see where it could come to help you out is your tips, and if you got merchandise to sell. I'm not going to say that you have to play the most popular songs on the radio. Sometimes you do, but that doesn't always work. You could play the song that's just fresh on the market, everyone loves it, you know what I mean? And you're playing a gig and they're like, oh, you're sick of the song, you know? So really I guess my advice would be just be good at your craft. Concentrate on sounding good. And if someone likes it, that's great. If not, don't take it personal. You can still wish them well, be their friend. Don't worry about that. But if you try to force yourself to like something that you truly don't like, sooner or later it's going to show in your performance. It's showing your playing. And then keep this in mind. Just because you're playing that song for the first time does not mean that's the first time that person is hearing a cover band play it, let alone the radio. They're like, okay, I'm getting sick of this. And I had a lot of people tell me that they don't like, they're already burnt out from the cover scene. One guy said to me, I think it was Friday, he says, you know, these people, they don't really sound like the original recordings, so some of them, they don't even get creative to do their own thing. But he said, with some of the covers you're doing, you're kind of creative about it. You're not trying to sound like those people, but you're trying to fit what would fit. And I told him, I said, I appreciate that. You know, some people like what I'm doing, some people don't, and again, that's okay. I said, but where really my heart is, for me personally, is in doing 100% original, because that's a reflection of me. And still, there'll be people that are not going to like it. You know, there was a saying, you know, everybody loves the Beatles, right? But I'm not a big Beatles fan. Or everyone loves Elvis. I'm not a big Elvis. I respect them, you know? But does that mean I got to take on every Elvis song or every Beatles song, every one, and then try to force my way to play? I'm not really good at that. So for me, it doesn't make sense. Now, other people, if they're great with it, go for it. But they also got to understand that not everyone is going to like it. And when they are not getting as many gigs as they thought they would get, because in their mind, I got to sing, I got to play everything that's popular, and then they get very disappointed that that's not really working out for them the way they thought it would. And then they walk away from a business opportunity or a job opportunity, whatever the case might be. Then they're like, oh, you know, what did I do? I guess my advice is for someone who is going to walk away from work, before you do that, give yourself a year to actually go through this. And or actually, here, let me backtrack. Before you do that, if, and I'm going to lowball this, if they only pay $100, if that's the case, and I don't want to get into what we get because that's our personal business, but keep this in mind. If it's $100 and all you are doing is one gig on a weekend, so it's one gig a week. There's 52 weeks in a year, and that's if you're gigging every single week. So just do the math. 52 times 100 is $5,200. So can you honestly live off of an annual income of $5,200? Is your lifestyle reflective to be able to live on that? If it is, great. But chances are it isn't. And that is with just your cost. See, there's a reality. Depending on where you're living. What is if your house is paid off, okay, you'll still have property taxes. And I'm saying if that's your only source of income with the music, so you gotta think this out. Now, to really put it into practice, keep your job and go out there and start playing. And the reason why I'm saying this, and just be careful with this now, but try this and give yourself a whole year. And all the money you make from your gigs, put that in an envelope, put that aside. And then, the money you make from your day gig, obviously pay your bills, but see how much all your bills are and look inside the envelope with your gig money. Well, you say, Dave, I could do that without gigging. Just if I do, the simple math of I gig once a week 4 years straight, that's 52 gigs. It's $5,200. Yeah, but the reason why I'm telling you this is because you could actually be going out there and then going out and playing and finding out what it really feels like when you're fatigued and tired. And then you gotta play this. And then if someone says, "Come on, you look like you don't like what you're doing, or you look like you're burnt out," and that, see, all these things play into that. So, again, I'm not trying to be a downer. I'm just being realistic about it. And then add to the fact that you go out to get a gig and then you get rejected. They say, "I'm sorry, we're tapped out." That's rejection. It's done in a very professional way. It's not done maliciously or anything, but it is. You got to be able to understand and handle that, because if you can't handle it like that, a lot of people are to be honest with you, there's a lot of really, really good people out there that they don't want to hurt people's feelings, and sometimes they never return their phone calls. Okay, that's kind of giving you a hint. Or a lot of times they're so busy they can't return their phone calls. So, understand that. But the reality is that still means you're not going to be gigging that week. So you're not going to be making any money that week. So now what do you do? See, I just call it just being prepared, because at some point you're going to have to be. Now, the cool side, on the good side of it, is this. Once you get the ball rolling and you're doing what you like to do, well, then you stick with that, and then add things as you can, and as you got that feeling. Because, see, when you go out and play, it's you on the stage. You got to give all that energy out and that inspiration, So that's another thing to take in consideration. When you're going to plan out like your set list. A lot of times, for instance, what we're doing is repeated, because we got the CD we're selling, and our time does get tight. I'm gonna be very honest. I'm teaching online, and it does get tight, and there are times I just need to get that rest too. You can't burn yourself out and you start to get sick. You can't. At least I don't want to do that. So, and then you do need your personal time where you just relax, just hit that reset button. And then when you go out there, you got a little bit more energy and things of that nature. So that's, the difference is with if you're doing your own music, no one else can do it without your permission, because it's your music. And if you got to a point where it sounds good, people are going to respond to that. You'd be real surprised. You'll be real surprised. If you got, you don't have to be a shredder or anything like that. But what you do, it draws people. It sounds musical, and when you're performing it, man, your whole heart is into it. People see that. That's what they're gonna. That's what they're gonna compliment you on. Deb told me what the other day, yesterday, well, actually yesterday. Um, there was a couple that says, "Yeah, man, he plays with passion. You could tell he enjoys what he does." And yeah, I do. I do like what I do. For me, I like to recreate the days of the era where music. It was something. You go out, you're going to see a show. You got transported out. It really was something. Not just like, oh, it's another gig. I really don't like that. Really don't like that. And I'm not saying everyone's like that. Sometimes they're just tired. They're trying to get through it. They're fatigued out. I understand. But when every show's like that, it's like, okay, or you get together with people and they're writing down the set list and they'll say, yeah, I hate this song, man. I can't wait. Well, I don't like doing this song. Well, then why do it? Because it's going to reflect when you're performing it. If you are going in as an entertainer, it won't bother you because you're an entertainer. You could care less. But if you're more of a the type that really loves a certain style of music, and then like you also like writing your own music and performing that, see, then it could kind of be a little bit of a bummer. You get through it, but if you're doing too much of something you don't like, then, and a lot of people, they know what I'm talking about when I say this. The mind starts wandering, and they say, geez, I walked away and I took too much time off and I gotta go back to work. But at least when I do my music, I got this freedom. I'm not stressed or tied down or doing stuff I don't like. Buying things only because I'm in this cover band or tribute band, and that's the extent to it. But I really don't like it. Then don't do it. You'll do yourself a lot better by being honest with yourself. You really will. And then, like I said, with money, you could just fund your own project and take it from there. You know. Let's see that. I think I got some people in the chat now. Sometimes it's okay. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Miss Sonia, how are you? So good to hear from you. Let's see. I am currently looking at a way to have multiple streams of income. Yeah, old man Dan. Yeah, multiple streams of income, so we can afford to buy a place. Oh, in tech country. And get away from Texas. Yeah, craziness. And in my shop, I definitely. Yeah. I hear you, Dan. That's basically the best way to do it, man. The people that have the less stress are the ones that are not trying to force something when they know that, okay, we kind of tapped out. I'm going to be honest with you. Even if you did a gig 5 days a week, at some point, you'll have to rely to make that extra money. You'll have to rely on your tips. If you're doing nothing but covers, you're not doing originals, right? So you can't sell these songs. Or if you try to, okay, if you're trying to sell those cover songs, I don't know a way around that. Maybe there is. If you bought those songs, you paid for it, you got some sort of agreement with whoever owns the rights to those songs. Otherwise, you get caught, man. It's not going to be too good. But even with that, you're only going to make so much. You might be surprised. Some of these people that are managers at like a Burger King or McDonald's, and they'll make more than you. Well, a lot more than you. You're like, huh? What? Yeah. That's the reality. See, no one really talks about it because they get a little embarrassed or whatever, But that's just the reality of it. So you don't get yourself in a financial situation. Let's see. I would love a place in the country too. Yeah, Miss Sonia. I hope all is well with you, Miss Sonia. Yeah, so for about 30 songs, here is if you do private shows and corporate gigs, you'll there's more. You'll have more of a chance. When we were doing all our road shows, we would get these gigs based on the style of music I was playing. They liked it. It wasn't based on covers or does he sing. No, they just liked what I was doing, and they would hire us. And man, we would go all over the place. Texas, from Chicago, from the Chicagoland area, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, Tennessee, Minneapolis. Even did a couple of over in Europe. The NATO gig, that was, man, I'll never forget that. Wow, what an experience that was. Uh, but it was not based on covers. So when people would tell me, "Oh, Dave, how you getting the gigs? You got to play this. You got to sing." I do, no, you don't. Just be good at your craft and understand that. Like for me, yeah, it could be more of a harder sell in the cover band circuit, um, but it really hasn't because we offer something different and we just stand firm in what we believe in. And it's okay. It's okay that we have the multiple streams of income. We're not trying to force it. And then it gives a good variety. That's really basically it. Having a good variety and really liking what you're doing. Yeah, love the variety that you have in place that you. Oh yeah, thank you so much, Miss Sonia. And the places I'm playing at, there's a lot of repeated gigs, and I'm just very thankful for that. Some of the places might have some new places coming up, and we'll see what happens. And if it's not a good fit for me, I'm not gonna try to force it. Yeah, but Dave, see if you sang this song and you played this cover song, we could get you in that. Yeah, but I don't want to do that. It's not in my heart. So if it's in your heart, then you'll get that much more gigs than me. I'm okay with that. And the reason why I will say this, and I do kind of repeat myself on this subject, is because I've had so many people approach me that want to put, bands together with me, but all I want to do is these covers, and it's stuff that they don't like. I really don't like, but yeah, we got to do this. I'd rather stay at the day job. I'm going to make more money. I'm not going to put myself through stress, worrying about when is this club going to close? Because I've seen this happen too before the hurricanes. Places, change hands 3 and 4 times over. And each time a new owner takes over, they change it to a different theme. Now it's a sports bar. We're not going to have any music. And you cannot force these people to turn their sports bar into a music venue. You can't. Because that's their money. That's what they wanted to open up their restaurant or club for. So now you're out that gig, right? So now you just lost that income. And then some people say, yeah, but if I, get together with 4 or 5 other bands, well, there's only 52 weekends in a year. You could play in 4 or 5 cover bands, but you're spreading yourself too thin. And before the hurricane, yeah, there was a lot of places like on Fort Myers Beach that have music 7 days a week, 6 days a week. But see, all that changed. Now there's no days a week because it's Fort Myers Beach is in the process of being rebuilt, and when it comes back, it's not going to be like it was. Maybe it will be better, maybe it won't musically. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. You know, but this has changed a lot, especially down here for us. So again, it depends on the areas that you're in. If you're any type of area where you have high, what I call high traffic of any type of a natural disaster, hurricanes, tornadoes. Tornadoes are bad because see, tornadoes, there's no warning. Boom, they're just there. You get like what, 20 minutes, if that. The air raid sirens go off, and then boom, here comes a tornado. And maybe it won't take your house out, but maybe it just wipes out the 5 places that you used to play at. It just wipes them out, and let's say for about 6 months. Now they got to rebuild. That's 6 months of no income because you're not playing that place. The place is gone. So see, this is what I mean. Be prepared for certain things. That's with disasters. Then you got disasters with, like I said, club owners just getting an opportunity. They're getting out of the business. It wasn't what they thought. just say, okay, you know, for whatever reason, they decide to get out of it. So you see, you got to think about those things. Let's see. Bumble Best, what's happening, man? Hey, Dave, what did we get, everyone? We got all these microphone, interface, a lot of parts, man. Tuners, bridges, volume pots, output jacks, switches. See, that right there is very valuable because those are the things that could break. And when parts are, there's not an abundance of parts and you're on a waiting list, boom. Springs for the whammy bar, in the back. Well, this doesn't have the whammy system, but, And very appreciative, Surf Prophet 9, for doing that, man. That was great. Let's see. Oh, yeah, Wally in the box. What's happening? Hey, thank you for, again, tuning in. And Sonia, your parents' website is... Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that, Miss Sonia. I really do appreciate that. CDs will still sell because there's like nostalgia on that. I saw this video, and I can't remember who it was. They were talking about it. What's nice with the CD, the CD is actually easier for musicians with home studios to actually create. You can buy the record the recorders, but like they record it on the vinyl, but it's very expensive. So the CD is like a mini version of the album. Because one thing with the CD, I think Yngwie was talking about this when he did his coffee talk. He was the first one he was talking with Steve Vai. The album cover was the artwork of it. See, this is what we miss about the days of albums, records and CDs and cassettes. But with the records, you got the big 12-inch, the album cover, the artwork, it reflected what you were going to hear. And that's what I miss, the days when you looked at something and it was very, very creative, and as you're looking at the picture of it, listening on the headphones, of course, it just takes you out. That's the magic of music. Not so much to try to be, the better shredder than the last guy, or the more popular vocalist than the last girl or whatever, but just the sheer creativity of it. And if you notice, you had the bands in the late 60s and through the 70s, and even through the 80s, but basically like in the 70s, everybody in the 70s, everybody basically wanted to have their own identity. And that's what's missed. That was the very, very creative. You had bands like Yes, and then of course Rush, and then Led Zeppelin, and Ted Nugent, Judas Priest. I mean, everyone had their own thing. And then when you added in the classical music and the jazz fusion, wow, man. That was for me that was very creative. The era of the fusion music, because it blended all these styles of music. And like I said, growing up in Chicago in the blues bars and the jazz clubs, and then out in the suburbs we had all the metal clubs. It was like being in the middle and having all this music surrounding you, and it was all great, man. It was so inspiring, and that's what got you to be a good musician and creative. Because there was a time where, for instance, in the Chicago metal scene, we would do 99.9 originals, maybe one or two covers. And there was a whole scene where everybody was doing original music and everybody was coming out. And yeah, it was like taking the major scenes, your big concert scenes and that, and bringing it down to the local level. And yeah, it was a little bit less money because, we were locals. We didn't have all that money to afford all that. So we took that concept and we said, you know what, we'll make it this, and boom, there it was, and people would come out, man, it would be packed. That's what I consider when there was a music scene, when people just come out. And it wasn't just in the metal scene, it was the blues scene, it was in the jazz fusion was getting real popular for a while there, man. And that's how a lot of people were getting their technique from the jazz fusion era, the classical. I remember when Ingve came out, and then Tony McAlpine and Vinnie Moore, and it was real popular in that era for guitar players to listen to violin players to try to pick up on the technique, like Paganini, the music of Paganini, and all of that, and people wanted to be good musicians. The only thing is when you spend too much time on technique, you get really good, super fast, super clean, but then it's almost like some of the creativity gets a little bit lost only, and it gets lost in technical ability, because the reality is your whole notes and your rests are just important as the flash. They got to coexist. So, but I mean, it was a good time, and because there was no internet, we were able to sell stuff. Now, see, the catch 22 is what's really cool with the internet, with YouTube and all that. We get to see what's out there in the world that we're not able to see. You either went to the concert or you had to buy a bootleg, at a record mart, store mart, where they have like shows, vintage records, or a guitar show, and there's someone out there selling imports, or in between the pages of some of the music magazines, you'd have a whole list of all the imports, and it'd be on VHS, and you'd order those, and you got a chance to see that. Now with YouTube, it's just bam, there it is. Plus, we could put ourselves out there, and the whole world could see. That's really cool, right there. But of course, in different times now, right? Let's see what we got going on here. Yeah, volume bucks. Yeah, price is increasing on everything. Yeah, it is. Stuff is getting expensive. Yeah, feel like I'm sounding like, man, I know that's what it is, Bumble. I sound like our grand folks, right? Let's see. He would say I could buy 10 candy bars for a nickel. Yeah. Well, there was a time where we could do a lot more with less. But see, the cost of living was down. I mean, I'm not cost of living, but our minimum wage was a lot less. So it was kind of equaling out. But at some point, it seems that the cost of living would go this way, and your pay scale would like a snail. It would grow little by little, but the cost of living got more and more expensive. Let's see. Oh yeah, Wally Bucks just gave you a thumbs up. Oh yeah, thanks so much. I really appreciate it, Wally. You take care, brother. Miss Sonia, I think we will be getting a test of major depression. Yeah, similar to the one. Yeah, I know, Miss Sonia. It could be very scary. It could be very, very scary. Um, that's why you just try to do the best you can. See, right now, Deb and I were talking. Our goal is what we have spent on repairs. Now we want to put the money back. We want to replenish that money. So I'm not going on a spending spree and all this stuff. I'm so appreciative that um, Surf Profit 9 has done all this. And I had Joe Wench send me that effect pedal, which I still use for some of my other units there. The thing works great. Zip Fix sent me those bridge and the saddles for the Ibanez for the fine tuner. Very appreciative of it. In this situation, it's like it could be quite some time before we buy any piece of gear. I'm just thankful we grabbed that GT1 when we grabbed it, and it was able. I'm able to make it work right. You know what I mean? Make it work for me. I know we got the head rush. I was definitely looking at the head rush, and I will say this: I got to give Surf Profit 9 some credit on this. Definitely for this. For whatever reason, he had said something pertaining to the like the microchips that are in these effect units versus when you got a laptop or a computer that's got all this RAM, all this space, all this extra room. And see, because I'm not computer savvy, I'm not really tech savvy in that, so I know I would hear these sayings. And he also brought up about there's a guy named I think he's an older guy. I think he's either out of England, a Tony McKenzie. Um, he would do review on pieces of gear, but he would do it a lot of times on these effect processors. He would get them and he would take them apart so you could see what's in there. And he would mention about the computer chips that's in there and how much space it's on there. It did not register really until when Surf Prophet 9 was explaining to me how he has got a Behringer foot controller with two expression pedals, and I think it's like 9-foot switches. I gotta look at the picture again, but it's got no sound in it. So you hook up to your computer, and I think even Old Man Dan has done this. We got like amplitude and all these other. See, I forget the one that Surf Prophet 9 was telling me, but how much they have improved on this. The way he explained it to me was when you run it through your laptop, you have all this extra RAM space, gigabytes, and all of that. So your processing power is a lot more powerful. So when they come back with version 2.0, now you put it in your computer, it'll be able to handle all that. Where I think he used the example of the Helix, and I'm not trying to knock the Helix because I am starting to realize that's a great piece of gear. But if you were to take what he has, what Surf Prophet 9 has with the Behringer foot controller, and then you download all the software on your laptop, let's say a good laptop with all the gigabyte space and all the RAM and all that memory, you could actually get a better processing out of that than some of these other units, because you got all that extra headroom. And I never thought about that. So, again, this is not to knock all the other pieces of gear that's out there, And certainly it would just totally leave the little GT1 in the dust. But what's really cool with this little GT1 is that now I'm getting my way around to really program it really easy. And I could slap AA batteries because we were in a situation, I think, at the Art Walk, downtown Fort Myers, which we're going to be back there again for St. Patrick's Day. But see, we have that power generator that runs on electricity, so you power up that battery, and I could plug everything into there. But if a situation happens, I could do all my other tracks that when I would use my tracks onto this little Tascam here, because it'll run on 2 AA batteries, and then run the GT1 will run on 4 AA batteries, and run it into, well, if I can't run into one of the power speakers, the little Roland here will run on AA batteries. And I think I get like 30 watts out of this. But in the area where it's by me, it's fine. It's definitely fine. People will hear it. And I could get through the gig. So that is what I do like about this. Let me just get back with this. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Later as well, even box. Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, I remember price or wars. Yeah, for gasoline when it. Oh yeah. Wow. Yeah. 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 So that's cheap. I think. Remember 86 cents. Yeah, for gas. I remember in the Carter era when there'd be long lines around the gas stations. Yeah. Let's see. mostly Scott. So yeah, Old Man Dan. I'm sorry, brother. 'Cause I know you changed your channel. Uh, Currently, I only buy things I feel confident I can either break even on or actually make a profit. Yeah, that's smart. And you know what? I'm gonna give you a really good shout out, Old Man Dan, and credit for this one because what you said was very um, made so much sense, man. I know you had some really nice guitars, and you had some beautiful guitars, man. But when you sold them, I know maybe you bought some back then. You were also smart there because you know when we left for the hurricane, there's no way we could take all this stuff with us. You know what I mean? So the comment I think you made was like something about you only play a couple of guitars at really one guitar at a time, and that resonated big time with me. And even Devin and I were talking about this. There's certain things I see out there with mine having, but at the same time, it's like, well, okay, what am I gonna do with it if something happens, right? See, what's really cool with what you have going on, Dan, is that if you downloaded your own videos, you got that all archived. You know, you got some nice Gibsons, man, and you still got some nice Gibsons. And yeah, I love the way you play, man. It's very, very creative, right there in that moment, and here it is, man. It brings back the days of what I call innocence, where no one's not trying to outdo everyone else to get to the gig first or whatever. It's just you sit and you listen, you go on a journey, man, and that's what's being missed, playing with that emotion. It's very inspiring for me, man. I'll tell you that. Yeah, the 350 a gallon gas drain your pot. Yeah, it does, man. You know, big time. Yeah, I will, Miss Sonia. I definitely will. I definitely will because we had talked about that before, and that is good for you. Because trust me, everything's in. It's much different now. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, shipping is a killer. I know. It's unreal. It's totally unreal what's happening. Yeah, Miss Sonia. I prefer the headrush unit over any computer simulators. Yeah, see, I will tell you one thing, oh man, Dan, that pedal, I mean, like that much pulling the trigger on it. I think it was the MX5. I think you had the Gig Boy. But when I was at Guitar Center and I plugged into the bigger headrush pedal, like, whoa, this thing was awesome, man. And it was about like $500 or $600 cheaper than the Helix. And it had a nice big screen. The layout was nice. It's like, man, this thing's sounding great. And then when it came out with the MX5, that's like a smaller version. I'm thinking mostly for the amp sims and that. Like, man, that thing's great. But the reason why I got the GT1 is I mistakenly heard that, thinking it. Well, I heard that mistakenly. I was mistaken it for the head rush, and I was still like, oh, geez, what do I do, man? Then I started thinking about when I play downtown, this will run on batteries if I need it. If I'm in that situation, I can pop the batteries right in there. Because I've been in, and the only reason why I think like that is because we've been in those types of situations. Like, all right, now what do we do? If we say we can't play, we don't get paid. See, it's kind of like at that type of a situation. Yeah, I would love to try Helix. Yeah, Axe Effects is also good. Bumble Best and Kemper. Yeah, Kemper. I got a friend of mine that he's busy right now, but I've been teaching him, and he does videography. He's real good, man. He does a lot for a lot of the businesses down here. He's got a Kemper, and man, he played some pieces of music. He did some covers. He did with using that, and compared it to the original recordings. It's like it's almost identical, man. It's unreal. Yeah, too high for me. Yeah, it is very expensive. And here's another thing to think about: if you're in an area where you'll be doing a lot of outdoor gigs, and let's say you bought the piece of real expensive gear, but that was the only time you were able to buy it. Chances are, it'll take a while to get it back. Well, if you're doing a lot of outdoor gigs, keep in mind that that piece of gear is going to be at the mercy of the weather. You know, it's a lot easier to replace $200 than $2,000. Um, but again, if you got that piece of gear, you really love it. It's part of your sound, and yeah, you can't go wrong because it you'll be able to pull out your sound out of it, and it inspires you. And that's the whole thing. So if it inspires you to go out and play, boom, you're good. But it is expensive. Yeah, Buster, you is a fantastic pedal. Yeah, Miss Sonia, I agree. I was like, and here's the thing. I think yeah, you had mentioned this, Miss Sonia, about it being plastic. The top part of it is metal. Maybe it's a thinner. It is. It's not too bad. It's not too thin of a piece of metal, but it's metal. But the foot switches, the expression pedal, and the knobs, it is plastic, but it's not cheap. It's not loose like the knobs. If that cheap plastic, it just turns and spins and it gets all wobbly. It's not cheap. The foot switches, I think they're spring loaded, and they're really firm. They're not. If a cord hits it, it's not going to make a switch into another bank or anything like that. And it's easy to keep clean too. The thing is, an expression pedal, even though it's small, I got used to it. It's very, very thick, so it's not like it's a cheap toy or anything. And this is shame on me, but with these switches, right? You got to make sure they're kind of clean. So from time to time, I take a rag and I kind of clean in there, especially any switch that does this clicks, because if you do anything outdoors, you get any dirt from your shoe, it's going to go right into here, and it starts building up in here. You could build up on any switch, but with the GT1, it seems that it's a lot easier to clean, and it doesn't affect it, because that square foot switch, I think, is overlapping the actual switch it's hitting, where this is your switch right here, and the dirt's gonna go right there, boom, right from your shoe, and that will make a difference. It's like something you don't really think about until when it happens. And it's like, oh crap, what's going on? So it's I don't know. I guess it's because we've done so many of these gigs. I have to also take these things in consideration, so we don't have any downtime. You know, or you buy pieces of gear in twos, so if something happens, you immediately. So if I were to buy another GT1, what I would do, I would program it identically to what I have this program. So if something would happen with this, it's an instant swap out, and I'm all ready. Everything would be exactly the same. So there's no situations. Because when people hire you, especially like with corporate gigs, they're hiring you because they like what they hear, they like the style you're playing, they like how you present yourself, so they're already thinking high end. So in their mind, they're thinking, well, this person, they get it, they're smart enough, they understand. It's like you buy a car, you get a spare tire. They got all bases covered. So if something happens, boom, you're good to go. The whole function goes as planned. You know. But if you're not prepared, it's like, okay, now what do I do? Be good on the acoustic guitar, I guess. Be good with that, and then say, all right, you're just doing this version of it, and don't draw attention to mistakes or if something happened. Don't, because it'll make you look amateurs, especially in that world. You know, it's just that's just how that is. Let's see here. Uh, Yeah, I've got to fill up my pickups this week. Oh yeah, pickup. Yeah, with the gas. I've seen there is a YouTube channel um, called the RV Odd Couple. You know, John and the Mercedes. That's the couple, and they got their daughter Sage. They're full time RVers. I think they were full time RVers. They got a campground. I want to say it's in Alabama. Well, he was talking. They had a nice fifth wheel. They still have their fifth wheel, but he had mentioned John. He had mentioned about he has it's either a Chevy or a GMC. I think it's a GMC 3500 or maybe Denali something. It's equivalent to a 3500, I think, but I know it's a dually and it's a diesel. And he made a comment about it's not just the diesel prices going up; it's your DEF you got to put in. What that price of that went up too. And a lot of us we remember when diesel fuel was cheaper than gas. Now it's the other way around, and it's expensive. So it's like, well, so when people are filling up their pickup trucks, it's like I see them over at the racetrack gas station, and as soon as I hear them coming with the diesel engine, now some of them I don't know. A lot of the new ones I know they have to have the DEF. I know the buses that we drive, the newer ones, the one I drive, I don't have to worry about the DEF, the DEF. But the newer ones that are even from just a couple of years ago, you got to fill up that DEF, otherwise it's not going to run right. There's going to be problems. Yeah, most people have an X play at home or stadiums, mostly yeah indoors. Yeah, that's true. That is true. But when you do get those situations where here's an outdoor, even if it's outdoor fest and you're outdoor in a nice stage, if you're in an area where there is a lot of wind, it's blows stuff, or you got to walk across the field, because we've done situations like that. You start stepping on switches, yeah, and just make sure you just kind of keep them clean. I mean, it could if you're doing an X amount of gigs a lot, it could be you're tired at the end of the gig. You get home, you want to unload the gear, you're tired, but just keep in mind to try to wipe them down because it'll be always at the performance that something happens and it's like it throws you off. It's like, man, what's going on? Let's see. Lisa, what is happening? So good to see you. I hope JoJo's doing well. A lot of times I got my little blue handkerchief, scarf tied around that she gave me. And I wear that at my gigs, man. I really, really appreciate that. Plus, it also helps wipe down the guitars. But it looks cool. I mean, I just like the way it looks. But yeah, tell her we said hi. Tell your whole family we said hi. We miss you all. And was it about a month ago? I gotta get Randy's number. I had to send him a message. Him and Irene from Warehouse Church. They came down to visit. And Hal, I don't know, Lisa, if you remember Hal. Remember there was one time when Randy was talking about I think it was Motorcycle Sunday, and people were asking questions about we get the tickets or whatever I think it was, and Randy just said, "Oh, just go to Hal." Hal. Well, Hal lives down here now. Now he's been down here before we came down here. He lives in Cape Coral. As a matter of fact, we attended a church that he goes to. It's called Christian Life Fellowship Church in Cape Coral, and yeah, Hal's got a nice fishing boat. He goes out there fishing, and yeah, he's a realtor, man. He's doing, excuse me, he's doing great. Sonia, Miss Sonia, DG1 is very well built. I'm going to get another for a spare the next time yeah, they're on sale. Absolutely. I know it's like they came out in 2014. It's not touch screen. Although this is what I saw a video on the new Boss GX100 that it is touchscreen, but there is a feature in there, a function that you can lock the touchscreen so if something hits it, it's not gonna change parameters. That's a good thing. See, I'll tell you, Boss does think about that, about people that are out there performing, because that's where they come from, the pedals. I'm not saying the other companies don't think about that, but we're in a day and an age right now where there's a lot of YouTubers and all that on the internet which is great because you're playing in front of the whole world, so you don't have to drag your gear around and get it destroyed. That's what's really cool about this technology. But if you do perform, just remember you're at the mercy of your elements. So let's see here. Yeah, it's only about I see. I have thought about getting a Boss. They are a good. Yeah, they are a good price. Bumblebee. They do. How much you get? So yeah, the Boss software for free. Yeah, the Boss Tone Central free, and it makes tweaking the pedals so much easier. Yeah, I do recommend it for first multi effects pedal. Yeah, it really is. And even as a good spare, even if someone's got a head rush or axe effects or temper or a helix, what is nice with this pedal, it's very easy on your budget if you got that kind of money. You know what I mean? But you could do something where you don't want to bring expensive gear. This is fine. Oh, and I do know that Helix has the smaller, the HX stomp and all of that, but it's still kind of pricey. $600 is still more than $200. You know what I mean? And if you know how to tweak the EQ in that, you can get a good sound out of it. You definitely can. See, you could buy this more expensive stuff, and after a while say, hey, I don't like the sound of it anymore. It's just, this is the nature of it. And version 2.0, 3.0, whatever comes out, and now you're downloading. Let's see, I had wanted a head rush, but I am still finding new combinations with the GT. Yeah, same here, Miss Sonia. Yeah. Yeah, you may sound interesting, tempting for sure. Yeah, it really is a nice unit. It really is. And what I do like about it, you have access. You have that input. You could put in another expression pedal, so you could turn on and off certain effects. Like how I have it set, I'm using my Digitech FS3X foot switch, and on some of these the parameters, I could turn off. You get in the program, of course. Let's see, where's that one? Here we go. I got one I titled Queensryche. It's basically off of a Marshall, I don't know, Plexi or no, high gain Marshall with a tube screamer in the front. Of course, and this one actually I got for a pitch shifter. So I could turn off just my pitch shifter and turn it back on, or turn off my delay and turn it back on, or with foot switch number 3, I could turn them both on and off at the same time. The delay with the pitch shifter. Actually, let's see if I could do something with this real quick so you guys could hear this. Now I'm going to turn off the delay and pitch shift at the same time. Now, here comes the pitch shifter and delay. Now I'm going to just turn off the pitch shifter. So you've got that delay. Now I'm going to turn the pitch shifter back on and turn off the delay. Now delay. So I could do any combination. And then the control number 1 that's on the GT one, I could turn that off. And it's basically turn off like the Tube Screamer overdrive. Now it's just overdriven amp. Where I don't have it all the gain all the way up. Now here's chorus. Now I turn the chorus and delay off. So, you got all these combinations you could do with it, which is really cool. And of course, I got like for my let's see, for the flanger. Yeah, when I'm using the Unified, I love the way that effect sounds. Okay, but yeah, it's a nice little pedal, and it's not too complicated. You know, when you set your output settings, if you go directly into a PA, that works great. I mean, I think they put a little bit more thought into this because all this really is the GT1 is a stripped down version of the GT100. Um, but I think when they started doing more with the GT100 as opposed to the GT10, I think they started putting a little bit more thought into its output, its speaker simulator, and preamp to work if you're going direct. Now, of course, with the GT or the GX100, they improved on its speaker sims. And then, of course, if you go with the GT1000 or the 1000 core, it really is a lot more, I would say, more focused with the speaker. So if you go directly in speaker sim, so if you go directly into a PA, you really get a good sound on it. Again, all these manufacturers are competing against with each other, you know. So they're, you know, I just watched while I was, you know, we do like the laundry and all that, and to help out Deb, you know, folding the clothes, and then Robert's Guitar Dungeon, he changed it to Robert Jackson, that's his name. He was talking about is modern gear better than vintage gear? And whether a person likes Robert or not, I think he's cool. I think he's got a lot of knowledge because you know he's worked in retail for, you know, I want to say maybe a couple of decades now. So he has extensive uh, knowledge in that, and he's seen pieces of gear come in and out. He was talking about a lot of the guitars that were built in the '70s were not that good because of the whatever situations, and he's talking about that a lot of the modern gear will sound better than some of the vintage because they're constantly improving on it. And one thing he did say is a lot of manufacturers now that they're doing what now as opposed to back then, they're actually listening to the customers, you know, getting people's feedback on something, you know, on what they would like to see in their products, which is kind of cool. I do remember seeing a video, an older video, maybe about 2014, something like that, with Hartley Peavy saying he was talking about how with his company he does not really do reissues if he doesn't have to because you know technology improves, you know, so why do you want to come out and have a reissue and have the covering, the amp covering, a red color instead of a black color or a white color? It's the same thing, you know. The inside, the heart and the brains of the electronics is the same. As with newer gear, it's improving because new technologies come out, and that's, you know, I think that's what's been happening. Where companies are starting to like, now what do we do next? Because we're almost tapped out. There was that point in time where we started seeing things, I mean, drastically improve. Man, it was great. You know, we might be kind of I call a stalemate. You know, capping off right now. You know, topping off with technology growth until, you know, maybe a year or two from now, maybe 4 or 5. Who knows? You know. Uh, let's see. I think you still have to purchase the power. Yeah, you do have to purchase the power supply. That's right. Yeah, if you buy the GT1, Miss Sonia, you're right. It will come with 4 AA batteries, and you'd be surprised. You will get some good solid time out of those AA batteries. It's great, but you do have to buy the power supply because we have the Boss these pedal boards. Let's see, it is the BCB 90X. It has its own power supply, so it'll power it up. Put that there. Yeah, anything should have an adapter with it. Yeah, you know they used to do this. You buy pieces of electronic gear, it comes with the adapter. But now they gotta make money, and it's just the way things are nowadays. Although, when we used to buy the Boss stop boxes, those would be sold with the battery, 9-volt battery, and then you would have to pay for the power supply. It was mostly the effect processors. They would come with a power supply, and then depending on how much money you're spending now it'll come with it. If you're spending over $500, like if you buy the GX100 or the GT1000, yeah, it's gonna come with that power supply because you need it. But I think if it could run on batteries, you gotta buy the power supply separate. Yeah, the remote foot switch is worth getting with it. Yeah, it is. It really is, because there you could turn on and off pedals individually within the unit. I mean, I gotta give them credit. It is well thought out. Where you're gonna where you could possibly have issues is your input and output. Those jacks, they're not there's not like a screw. So you see how this is? You got that screw right there, right? With this, you don't. It's just there it is. But if you have it in a pedal board dedicated, and where you're not going to have situations where you're going to get your output cords and input cords yanked and pushed down because they'll get loose inside. I mean, you can take it apart and I guess tighten it from the inside. This is another thing what I liked about that guy, Tony McKenzie. He shows you he takes it apart. He shows you what the guts are, and that's really cool. Let's see. See, I waited over a year before getting the 2-foot switch version. Yeah, kick myself for waiting after I got it. Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Let's see, we got here. Could you imagine buying a camper and didn't have a power cord? Oh, bumblebust. You're talking about, well, I think the Kemper, I don't know, it'll run from anywhere, a good used one, pre-owned one, from like $800. But I think new they're anywhere from $1,200 to $1,600, maybe even higher. I didn't really don't know, but they are pretty expensive. But see, that type of gear, you got to have the power supply, or you spend like $1,600 on the Helix, the big flagship, and you got no power supply. Really? Are you kidding me? Yeah, I would not be too happy. But you buy what you want to buy, what you like, because like I said before, they're competing with each other. That's basically what it is. Oh, before I forget, and I definitely want to give a shout out also to Rebel Rocker. She was real generous in our chats. Deb, she told me. Because see, when I'm playing, sometimes I cannot see the screen. And sometimes, like right now, even if I hit the screen, now it'll come up. But there are times when the chat does not come up. Yeah, we got Ian's Guitar Shack. What's happening, brother? So, for whatever, maybe I got a feature on my phone that, I got off and I didn't know. I know on one of the live gigs we did, see, when I do live, I'm able to hit my phone, the ringer, to put it on silence. But there's another feature inside this phone, a lot of these phones will have, where do not disturb. Well, Deb knows how to get into it. I don't. And I forgot, she had it on or something, and I wasn't getting any messages. So she would call me when she'd come home from work for me to move my car so she could get her car, and I wasn't getting any phone messages or anything. And I told her that, and I said, is this on like a silencer or like airplane sound or something? And she was, oh, wait a minute, I know what I did. I got that. I know I've said this before, and I'll say it again, so hopefully these manufacturers out there will take in consideration some of us people that are a little older, it's not that we're lazy, it's just that we're not keen to some of this technology, and some of this technology is not at our forefront because we're hands-on type of people. So it really is not a need for us. Now, if I was sitting in an office, doing computer work, well, that'd be totally different. I'd be keen and more up to date on all the stuff that comes out technology wise. But because I've got I don't need other pedals. But I mean, it's really like if I just go straight with classic guitar, I don't need any pedals. You know what I mean? So Why would technology be a forefront for me, as a guitarist and a performer? And with the driving gig, it's driving. I have to pay attention to the road, not screens and stuff like that. So there are a lot of us that we fall into that sector, and I think a big mistake that some of these manufacturers they forget about us. But the problem is we're also in that group of people that have the money to buy the stuff, and it wasn't for us buying their stuff, they wouldn't be in business. So don't just don't devalue us, or don't say that it's what we call operator error. Well, yeah, it is. I'll admit it, because there's no instructions, and some of us we do not know how to seek out the information because we that's not the generation we are from, and we did not have to rely on this. I'll tell you what. All it's going to take is for one company or a couple, but really just one person with a company that knows how to do all this, and say, you know what, we are going to come out with, let's say, the cell phones, where it has a big screen, but it has a big parameter around it, so when you pick the phone up, you're not going to activate something or delete something. I mean, I've had situations where I go to pick up my phone and all of a sudden I get a screen changes. What happened? It's almost as if I gotta pick it up like this, or if I go like that, I gotta be like real careful. Where the older phones, you just pick it up like that, because this is normally if you pick something up, for instance, like this, I could pick it up like that. I don't have to worry about it. But here with these phones, I gotta be so like delicate now. That's not the real world, man. See, it's all this stuff got forced on us. So it's gonna take someone as to say, you know what, we're this no, this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna have this niche. I guarantee people will say, hey, let's go over and check this out, because a lot of us that are still old school, and that's how we are. But when they forget about us, no instruction like these TVs. You buy a TV, if you don't have the remote control, how you turn the thing on and off? Well, you unplug it. I almost did that one time. I got so pissed off I couldn't turn the TV off. Like, plug this piece of crap, you know. So what if I don't? You know, again, here is the beauty of. I guess I'm the one of the last in that. I'm in that line of the last generation of baby boomers because I was born in '63, November '63. I think the baby boomer generation ended at the end of 1964. I think it went from 1946 to 1964, the end of 1964. But our generation, we were in our teens and our adult life before this technology. And again, it's a catch 22. The bad part of the technology is when there's no instructions and others, they make you feel like you gotta rely on them and that's the only thing you got, otherwise your life is doomed. Well, no, not really, because we were surviving and thriving before all of this. And when this hurricane hit us, and for solid about 9-10 days, no power. But for about a month, my internet was very, very spotty, at least on my phone. And I remember Deb, she had to accept a call. She had to go up on the roof. But definitely for 10 days, our cell service was nothing. Man, it was so going 10 days and then going on 11 and then eventually like day 15 or day 20 I'd get some service, be very spotty, but then after that I would go back. I still had all my videos and pictures on the phone. It started to get to a point where I was like, this is kind of cool because I'm going back to how things were before all this technology. And there was a point where it was like when the phones came back on, the service came back on, it was like I didn't miss it. You know, I'm like, you know, kind of sparingly getting on YouTube because it didn't phase me. And I was like, wow, man, that's the beauty of our generation. If this technology we would miss it, yeah, we would, because it's a good way to connect with our friends and, for our music to go all over the place and that. But we come from an era before all this, so we would revert back to that, and it wouldn't really, as time would go by, it would be just a great memory that we had. Okay, we enjoyed it while it was great, but now we got this back again. Okay, this is kind of cool again. We could kind of like breathe, you know, and that's what it felt like. So, but anyways, hey, Ian's Guitar Shack, what's happening again, brother? Yeah, I know what you mean, Dave. I was the remote, yeah, the remote control, yeah, yep. I know what you're saying. When my parents didn't want to get up, yep, we had to change the channel. I remember those days, yeah. We had a choice of 3 channels. Didn't have cable back. Yeah, I remember that too. I remember when the big thing was pay TV. Cable TV was pay TV. Why should you pay for something when you got it for free right now? You know what I mean? That was the big controversy. We survived. We survived with payphones. We'd get together as kids. Of course, we didn't even use the payphones. We knew where to meet up with our friends. That's all it was. You knew. And nothing bad happened to us. Um, as far as because of technology, it made us strong. I'll tell you what. The one thing, when you don't have these conveniences, it makes you strong. Yeah, when you look at YouTube videos, you see all these people that are incredible guitar players. Okay, well, you had virtuosos, and you had people who were um, prodigy kids even way before this. It's just that a lot of times they would not, if it didn't fit with the flavor of whatever media wanted, then you wouldn't get any exposed. That was it. Until you went out and you proved yourself, and they had no choice. Man, we got to cover this. Everyone's talking about this. But the reason what made us get good, and even so, sometimes it took a little longer, is that we had to work for it. We had to go to the music store to buy the sheet music, and if they didn't have the sheet music, well, you're out of luck. You order it, and you got to come back. When we get it, go back home. Slow records down. Go back and forth and fast forward and rewind the cassette tape. You had your ear. You had to do it that way. You really had to put the work into it. And for us, it didn't bother us because that's just the way it was. And that's how we got good. I think that's how we're able to retain what we were able to do. You know. Now everything is so fast paced, and that within seconds, and it is a good feature to have. A lot of us use it. I use it when I need to look up something quick to help me out. I'm gonna tell you, I'm going to be the first one to admit it. I will use this type of a platform, and it does help. Um, but I also will also rely on old school ways of doing things because again, that's the generation we come from. Now I did see. I wanted to touch on this subject real quick. I know I'm running a little bit behind, or actually been on a little bit longer than anticipated. But anyways, I don't know if you know the Wings of Pegasus guy, Phil, the British guy. He did this video, and he did not want to do this video, and he's not trying to put people down. But when he brought this topic up, I had thought that there was something like this going on, because certain things I would see, but I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention because sometimes I don't have that time. I got to get on with what I need to do, and this is the situation that we're in. But I would see some of these videos that these people And even he would say, mostly see a lot of these younger girls, they're shredding up a storm, and it's almost as if it's effortlessly. And then but then he started analyzing it. He says, what's really happening is that some of these people, they putting up a few. It's not that they can't play; it's they cannot go that long duration of time playing like that. So it'll be cut and paste, and they're very good at doing this editing. And when they put it together, it's almost like one continuous shot. He said, except now watch this. He did some of the videos where the vibrato, what was going on with the hand, did not match the sound, what was coming out of the speaker. Now, there are times if you're doing a live stream, it's like a video and audio doesn't mix, okay? And we understand that. But it's not all the time. It's not after you're done editing these videos and it wasn't a live stream, And I thought something like this was going on. And I have to agree with him. And again, he wasn't being malicious. So but I have to agree with him. That's not being fair. That's not being honest, because these kids, if they ever had to go out and do some of these shows, they would never be able to handle it. Because it's a different world. And some of them, they put themselves in this picture perfect situation that if there's one slight little mistake, the whole world comes crashing down. And that's, the reality is everyone makes mistakes, and sometimes those mistakes is not due to what you doing. Sometimes it's the elements you're at, and it throws you off. And you try to handle it without drawing attention to the situation. That's one situation. Another situation was everyone praises these kids who are doing this, and they get in their head like, oh, I could do no wrong, and this and that. Then they get an opportunity to actually do a performance. And because someone wants to, have them endorse all this gear and then take them to do these guitar shows and that, it sometimes happens, but it could be a very big disappointment that when the actual live performance right there, you're doing maybe 90 minutes and they could barely get through 15 minutes. That's where you start realizing, whoa, what's going on here? And the people that have been praising these kids, giving them this false sense of a false hope that they could, you could do no wrong, you're great, you're this, you're that. If you don't see what's going on behind the scenes or wise enough to catch this, and you keep lying to these kids, when they get out in that real world, that's when their world's going to come crumbling down. That's like with these competitions. You're good, but you're not ready for it right now. And please don't take that the wrong way. You need to hear this. Because when you go on to rounds 2, 3, and 4, it's going to be at your expense. If you're, let's say, living in Chicago and now you go to Vegas to hit, now you just moved up. You're going to the next round. And guess what the next round is going to be? Maybe at the Mandalay Bay in Vegas. And we're not paying for it. That's up to you. You got to pay for that. You got to take time off from work, or if you're underage and the parents are gonna flip the bill, someone's got to take time off, especially if you're underage. They're not gonna send you out by yourself, so then you got to take time off to go out there, and money is spent and money gets lost, and then you find out that it's really bad when you find this out. But it's one thing when you don't make it to the next round, you lost. But what's very disappointing is you find out that, hey, my son or daughter, they shouldn't even been at this round. And you find out that it was kind of a con. That's heartbreaking. That's when people get all PO'd. Say, man, why'd you lie to us? You knew they weren't that good. I don't mean to go off that tangent, but I had to mention that because of the video I saw that Phil put up. And again, I will agree with him. Those kids are good. They're able to do the editing, and they can play that good. It's just that not consecutively do they do that. If they ever had to do a 3 hour show, what's going to happen? And the people that hire you for that, they start seeing it like, hey man, I thought they were this, that, and the other. I'm spending all my money. I'm spending my money, and I'm putting my name, my reputation. Because they hired me as the event coordinator, and I told these people, yeah, I'll get someone that's great. You won't have any issues. They're great people. They're great musicians. You won't believe what you're gonna see. And then yeah, you're right. You're not gonna believe what you're gonna see because when you find out they can only get through maybe 15 minutes, and the rest they can't go on. It's like, oh, now what do we do? So the um the old school way, if you can't hang on to it and just merge the two together, don't disregard the hard work. The hard work is really what's going to get you through any type of situation. There is no shortcuts. There is no easy way. Um, and the same thing um, with handling the rejection. You have the good rejection, the honest rejection. That's what I call the good rejection. They're not trying to be malicious. They're actually, it's going to do you good. Wow, thank you for letting me know because, I thought this and I was wrong. But now I'm glad that you straightened me out and I appreciate it. The bad rejection is when people are just negative and they're just being stupid. So I just walk away from that. But I think one of my videos, I think Janice Lala left a comment and she said that helped her because I had mentioned about be very careful when getting on the internet and start saying negative things about people that they're rejecting you or they're not letting you in or for whatever reason, walk away from it with dignity because they can't say, well, you said this about me and I'm going to tell the next club owners that no one's, we'll get together and, ban you from, going out and doing what you want to do and things of that nature. It could be very ugly. So, just again, if that helps, that's, I think the only time you should really say something if it's to the point where it's going to take a person down financially, and you gotta warn people, say, hey, stay away from. You got a promoter out here, that man, they're lying to you. They're putting you in bad neighborhoods. They're stealing your identity. They're giving you a bad name. These people totally want to destroy you, and just be very careful. I think that's a different situation when you have to forewarn people about a situation that could be dangerous. But other than that, if, like for instance, someone doesn't give us a gig, well, so what? We go find another place to play at. Big deal. I'm not gonna cry over it. I'm not gonna cry over it. No. So, anyways, let's see. Let's see. I got Danny. Yeah. People don't say I have to stay home and sit by the phone anymore. Yeah. Danny, you're absolutely right. There used to be that where we'll call you, take the phone message, you know, be there because this could be your opportunity, right? They don't do that anymore. So half these people they don't even talk like that. They don't even talk with each other. They'll send email, and I understand it can be easy. It could be easy. But what is nice with the personal contact is you get a chance to feel out a person's personality. And then they could determine, hey, this guy or this girl will be a good fit. We like their personality. They seem that they carry themselves good, um, and that will get you work equally as well as having the talent, because it's more than a talent. It's if you're easy to work with. If you're easy to work with, it's a win-win for you. It really is. If you're hard to get along with, if you're complaining all the time, and if you're bashing people, even on the internet, you think they're going to see all that and they're like, not dealing with this because they don't have time to babysit. Again, if you have the money and you're going to fund your project and you're going to, rent out a place and you do your ticket sales, and it doesn't even have to be at a real expensive, place. It could be like even at a Holiday Inn if we're something, smaller, some places anywhere from $600. I mean, that's on a very small end to like $900 or $1,600. If you have money that you can spend like that, well, just remember, just respect the venue that you're renting out to play. Okay, but other than that, it would be, your show your way because it is your money. Then you don't have to worry about these club owners and that. And of course, if you do something like that, then you find the local paper. It doesn't even have to always be a local music paper. That does help, but the local music paper will be more expensive than some of the regular local papers that will have a entertainment section in it. You could advertise in those magazines, those newspapers, and the word will get out. Some will have just a free, ad where there's no picture, just you put it. We started doing that down here in the Florida Weekly, and that's how we started getting people to come out to Yucatan's because they saw the ad. Live jazz fusion. The people who like that kind of music, they're like, oh wow, finally something that we like. We'll come out and check it out. And they would tell them, yeah, we saw the ad in the paper. And then I think it was the paper contacted Deb, or Deb somehow they liked the picture that Deb sent them, and right away they put it as like a feature. They have this category with a feature of events that week or that month or whatever, and they used our picture, and that helped bring out even more people. So, but yeah, it's nice when you converse with people because you can find out their personality. Let's see. I did get let's see, I'm sorry about this. Let's see. Sonia said I did get a new tiller this year. I'm going to plant a large garden. Good for you. You won't have so much time to spend in front of the computer. Yeah. Oh, I know. I know what you mean there. Yeah. Vibes are important, especially in music. Absolutely, Danny. Yep. Because see, music is very emotional. It's also a way to express emotion. I really think first and foremost that's what it is. And then all the theory and everything else behind it is the thought process of it. But music as pure music, it is the expression of emotion. If a person does not know music theory, that does not mean that they cannot make music, even if they don't know what the notes are called. It just makes it a little harder to communicate, obviously. But the actual process of making music, if a person's got a creative mind and they could just, this sounds good if I put this with that, that sounds good, I like it, and they breathe that expression of that emotion into those notes as they play them, it's going to sound like music. I remember so many times, jamming these blues jams and getting together with people that they didn't know what the notes are called, but boy, I tell you what, they made the guitar speak. It's something, I always will say, it's something you're born with. It's a gift. To me, I call it, it's a gift from God. I'm just a guy holding the guitar. What comes out, that comes out. But, that's me. That's just me. That's what I believe, Yeah. Yeah, stupid newspaper here went all digital except for 2 days a week. Let's see. Yeah, when it comes by mail. Yeah, Mr. Daily Paper, yeah. There was something about it, right there. This is where old school technology, in my opinion, will always shine. When getting back to that hurricane, no power, no internet connection, wiped out. If it wasn't for, I'm gonna grab this radio right here. If it wasn't for this was our only access to a weather channel in our area that gave us what's going on, when can we expect, if another storm was coming or anything like that. That was the saving grace right there. But the internet, yeah, you know, we were able to contact Miss Sonia and our friend Hans 36 Solo. We had to go to Lowe's to get some materials, to start patching up some of the roof, and we only got a connection down in Estero. So we had to drive like 20, 26 miles, something like that, just to get some sort of connection. Because the towers were out. So see, that's what I mean. The newspaper was nice, and I'm not saying if you got a natural disaster, well, there's gonna be no deliveries either. But let's say you have a situation where the power grid goes out and the internet's out, but there's still traffic. That's what's nice about the printed page, because, well, if you get the power out, something printing, it could be, at least you'll have something. Well, let's just say not the power goes out, but the internet connections go out. You know what I mean? The communications go out. We'll still be able to get what's going on with the printed newspaper. And that's what I miss about old technology. It still works. Okay, my friends. So I think we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Yeah, and I really appreciate everyone tuning in. And again, a special shout out to Surf Prophet 9 for sending all this. This is really, really a pleasant surprise, man, and it is very much appreciated. Like I said, something for some people that don't think about this, but parts, you have no idea how valuable they could be, man. How valuable. It is incredible. So we will be doing live stream tomorrow, 6 to 9 at our gig at Jungle Bird. I have a student on Tuesday, Hal, and I got some stuff I've got to write down for him and go over, helping him out. Part of our lesson program, when we could get some time to really, I got video footage I gotta work on, and we'll get it all up and edited and all that. Deb's good with that. Uploading. But what's gonna make our lesson program, I'm gonna say different. Everyone's got their thing, so I'm not better than anybody. But what's gonna make it different is that we're coming from a much different approach with this, from an actual real world situations, and I can't expand too much on that, because for people that are paying for these lessons, if I go out and the so-called secrets to let them out, then it's like, well, we're paying for this and you're giving it away for free. That's not fair to us. So that's why we're trying to be very careful with that. A lot of it is just very common sense, but trust me, it comes from a point of view that a lot of us have not thought about, or we have forgotten about. And just put it this way, everyone gets older, So, anyways, my friends, we'll be streaming live tomorrow, 6 to 9. Until then, you guys stay strong, safe, and true. We really appreciate and love you all. Rock on, and God bless. I'm going to see you one more day. Dave, thank you for this stream. It is really great seeing you. I've got my camera and streaming still awesome. Thank you so much. God bless you. Oh, Dale Palmer, God bless you too, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And yeah, may God bless you too, Miss Sonia. We'll definitely be contacting. We'll get some time where we can contact you. We'll definitely be doing that. Till next time, till tomorrow, we'll see you. Rock on, and God bless you. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching.